we take it to the next level as well. And for the installation of the FOGSI President, can I request Dr. Rishikesh Pai to please do the honors and welcome our incoming President, Dr. Jaydeep Tank.
No, I know this is very unorthodox, but I just can't resist. My whole family has flown all the way to be with me here. Can I request all of you to please join me as I become the president of FOGSI? Please. Turush, Tiku, Renu, Anosh, Shamoil, Anaita, Didi, Parul, and of course Parikshit.
Hello, Jaydeep is a very young president and he brings with us a different perspective to life. We have been traditional and we hope that he will now do a lot of new changes in the federation and take the federation to newer and higher heights of glory. Congratulations.
With this, it's time to introduce President FOGSI. With that, with the permissions on the stage, can I request to introduce our President? Permission not granted? Hold on. Something more is cooking and it's coming up.
Congratulations, Dr. Jaydeep Tank, for the President of FOGSI, and I must congratulate Dr. Rishikesh Pai also for the fantastic work he has done for the FOGSI. Now this is a new team which has got installed. So we have now office bearers oath taking ceremony. The new set of office bearers of FOGSI who have just been installed will have special responsibilities and obligation to FOGSI, its membership, and the welfare of fellow human beings in general and of women in particular. So I call upon them to take the oath to fulfill their role and responsibility to the best of their ability. So I'll be taking oath, and all the new office bearers will stand in a line with hand on heart and answer, yes, we do. Please come over here. संगीता त्यांच्या हातात एक पेपर दे ना ते आणले ते.
Now I can sit. I said, I can sit down and relax.
पेपर देऊ ना त्या हातात. ते नंतर देऊया आता पेपर नाही होत ते की. सो Jaydeep, I'm going ahead. Please keep your hand to your heart. All the new office bearers, please do you so many efforts that you will respect and abide by the Constitution of the Federation of Obstetrics and Gynecological Societies of India and work to achieve its vision and mission. Yes, we do. Please repeat, yes, we do. That you will work to promote women's health and welfare and strive to support and defend their rights and autonomy. Please say, yes, we do. That through the FOGSI community, you will work for social justice to abolish discrimination and eliminate disparities in women's healthcare across class and community, region, and culture. Yes, we do. On behalf of the Federation of Obstetrics and Gynecological Society of India, I hear you and thank you.
With that, it's time to introduce our President FOGSI. And for the same, can I request Dr. Kunal Doshi, Dr. Rohan Palshetkar, Dr. Apurva Palan Reddy, Dr. Priyankur Roy, and Dr. Niharika Malhotra to please join us on the stage.
Good evening, everyone. It is an honor for the five of us to introduce at his installation ceremony as the 61st incoming FOGSI President, Dr. Jaydeep Tank. Jaydeep sir brings with him a large breadth of experience in women's health in issues ranging from safe abortions, contraception, maternal health, infertility, operative gynecology. Jaydeep sir's leadership skills and ability to work effectively with varied and diverse teams have been evident in the years. He has spent as a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist at the Ashwini and visiting consultant for IVF at over 15 IVF clinics and the various national and international associations he has held positions in. He has been the president of Mumbai Obs and Gynaec Society, the chair of two different AO4 committees for 2 terms each, past deputy secretary and is now chair, YGAA committee, Asia Oceania Federation of Obstetrics and Gynecology, the past chair, Safe Abortion Committee, FIGO. He has also been awarded the fellowship FRCOG honoris causa by the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. Jaydeep sir has been an integral part of FOGSI and it's working on women's health in India for over 20 years. He has been instrumental in shaping FOGSI the way it is today in several ways.
Dr. Jaydeep Tank has redesigned and modernized the FOGSI website, FOGSI.org. He has also developed the websites member.fogsI.org and elections.fogsI.org and an online payment portal for FOGSI. He devised the SMS policy for FOGSI and initiated the SMS system currently in use for FOGSI. He has developed an electronic cloud-based membership management system which has enabled quicker and more accurate communications with our members and has enabled electronic voting in FOGSI. He has also initiated the platform FOGSI uses for its webinars and online meetings. He had the primary responsibility for the ISO accreditation process for the Federation. He developed several far-reaching constitutional amendments. He led the reframing of the Constitution with a complete overhaul to make it streamlined and easy to understand for all members by adding explanations where required, creating an index and renumbering with chapter, clause, and subclause to make for easy referencing and cross-referencing within the Constitution. He also initiated the decision to not print copies of the previous managing committee meetings for the distribution at the managing committee meetings. The minutes were circulated by email to all the member societies in advance. By this simple step, he has saved the printing of approximately 11,200 pages. The agenda and minutes of the GBM were also circulated electronically to all our members. This saved printing of over 10 lakh pages. He truly has made FOGSI go green. FOGSI has also expanded its real estate footprint and almost doubled its area by purchasing new premises on the second floor, just above our existing premises, in his tenure as Secretary General.
Kind, compassionate, influential. Of all the adjectives used to describe Dr. Tank, visionary is what takes forefront. And it is with this foresight, Dr. Tank has been instrumental in implementing e-voting for the first time in FOGSI. The first ever chairperson's election in 2019 saw an unprecedented participation. The voting percentage rose from 32% to a remarkable high of 80%. Just to give you a comparison, the highest ever achieved so far was only 46%. This movement of active participation of the esteemed FOGSI members in choosing their leaders only kept raising with each passing election. The ICOG election saw a 72% voting, and a benchmark of 94% voting was seen in the 2020 elections. E-voting completely eliminated the previously unavoidable scourge of undelivered ballot papers and invalid votes. Besides enabling the members with e-voting power, Dr. Tank published many articles on a broad range of issues and has been instrumental in drafting several institutional documents, position statements, and project reports.
Amongst other documents, Dr. Jaydeep Tank was the lead author for the FOGSI statements for the Preconceptional and Prenatal Diagnostic Tests Act, PCPNDT Act, Caesarean section rates, medical termination of pregnancy guidelines, FOGSI documents for the proposed ART bill and surrogacy bill, and several others. He has delivered over 2,000 invited presentations nationally and internationally, which include over 50 orations. In the COVID years, from the time of the lockdown was announced till now, he has been invited to speak as faculty in over 1,500 webinars. He has been a part of the organizing team for over 200 conferences, meetings, and advisory board meetings, both national and international. He has, with us, convened several very successful webinar series, the O2S Masterclass, the G2Y Masterclass, Bara on Bara, and several others. The total attendance of these webinars has been in excess of 20,000 unique viewers. He has the capacity to contribute by having a reasoned view and several years of experience as a consensus builder with institutional awareness and ability to steer forward gently despite headwinds, and an ability to synthesize and articulate the evidence in a way that is easy to grasp and understand. He is pragmatic and he is unafraid to challenge assumptions and call out narratives which may be more opinion-based than evidence. Jaydeep sir is known as one of the champions in India and globally for advocating the safe abortion care for nearly 2 decades now.
Jaydeep sir represented FOGSI to several meetings for 2021 amendments to the MTP Act, framing rules to the central government and various stakeholders. He represented FOGSI to the government of Maharashtra for meetings on PCPNDT Act, Caesarean rates, MTP Act, and SOPs for abortion beyond 20 weeks. He designed and conducted the FOGSI virtual meetings during the COVID period to a great acclaim and appreciation, and ensured that no lag happened in the FOGSI office during COVID times. He has been instrumental and led proposal which has resulted in the largest ever grant for FOGSI from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for a multi-state initiative in private sectors which will be active from 2023 to 2026. Jaydeep sir is one of those rare professionals who has helped women in his 25 years of practice as a clinician, helped juniors, doctors, colleagues through teaching, training, and helped build professional organizations he has been a part of. काम करो ऐसा कि पहचान बन जाए, हर कदम ऐसा चलो कि निशान बन जाए, जिंदगी तो हर कोई काट लेता है, जिंदगी जियो इस कदर कि मिसाल बन जाए. We proudly present Jaydeep Tank, the 61st President of FOGSI.
Good evening. Or, as we say here in Hyderabad, Subha Sayantram. Mutayalu Prema Biryani Mariyu, OGSH Nagaramaina Andamaina, Hyderabadulu FOGSI, 61st Adhyakshadviga, Nenu installation na Pratyekita Mariyu, Gauravam. I knew I was going to have to give this presidential address at least from 30th March 2022 around 6 p.m. when the election results were declared. And I'd been meaning to write it since a long time. But as Calvin tells Hobbes, you can't just turn on creativity like a faucet. You have to be in the right mood. What is that, asks Hobbes, and Calvin says, last minute panic. So it is that I have managed to making this presentation late last night, which I must tell you is a considerable improvement from the usual 10 minutes before the presentation. For FOGSians, AICOG is not just an event. It is an emotion. I've had the good fortune to attend each and every AICOG since 1992. Except one. This is actually the 32nd AICOG that I'm attending. This AICOG was awarded to the OGSH during the managing committee in Hyderabad in 2020, held on the cusp of COVID and the beginning of normality. I'm sure that although the team was already at work, it is safe to assume that efforts multiplied after the grand and highly successful AICOG at Calcutta, led by our dear friends Bhaskar, Basab, Dibyendu, and Krishnendu, with a wonderful and warm team from the Bengal Obstetrics and Gynecological Society. By the way, it is Basab's birthday today, so wherever you are, Basab, happy birthday. The hours of hard work and planning has reached fruition in this fantastic event, FOGSI's 66th AICOG at Hyderabad 2024, hosted by the OGSH. The entire team and society, led by the indomitable Shanta Kumari, also the president of OGSH amongst all the other hats that she wears, organizing secretaries Vindhya and Aruna, treasurer Dr. Jamna, chair scientific committee Dr. Krishna, and vice chair Kiranmay and Dr. Padmaja, joint organizing secretaries Archana, Manjula, Lakshmi, who's also the secretary of the OGSH, and all the team with its subcommittees and members of the OGSH managing committee have achieved an event to remember, and I'm again humbled by the honor of being installed here in Hyderabad. I must here mention Tirupati and his team for excellent, imaginative, and prompt work. Congratulations, and a round of applause for the entire team is very much in order. I tip my hat to the great work done by all the team members of the previous world. Many, many congratulations to all of them. You are all future leaders of FOGSI, and we look forward to your continuing role. I have no hesitation in saying that this is an overwhelming and emotional moment for me. It has been my privilege to have presented the Secretary's report at the inauguration of the AICOG 3 times, and now I stand before you as the 61st President of FOGSI. It is a privilege not taken lightly. I've always felt that we stand on the shoulders of giants, and I'm very cognizant of the fact that what is seen today is built over years and gets stronger with time. My being here is resplendent with serendipity. It's only the 3rd time in the 74 years of FOGSI's existence that a son has become the president of FOGSI after his father was president. But I believe it is the first time that a father and son have been both Secretary General as well as President, and also the first time this has happened with a sibling as the Treasurer of FOGSI. It is also the first time that a past Secretary General, Rishikesh, has handed over the presidency to another past Secretary General, and it is also perhaps the first time when 3 persons who have been Secretary General and our Secretary General are on the dais at the same time as for the AICOG inauguration. You know, I've always wondered what constitutes a good AICOG presidential address. And I believe that the presidential address has to have 3 vital components: to outline the expectations and hopes for the upcoming year, reflections on the personal journey to becoming a president in the hope that the journey will find an echo with all members of FOGSI and serve as an expression of gratitude to all those who made it happen, and finally, a brief outline of what FOGSI and women's health means to the person leading the organization. That is why this presentation follows the same order. Let me first begin this part of the presentation by introducing the team for the next year. But let me say this, and I cannot reiterate it enough: each one of you, including the international faculty, is Team FOGSI. The persons on the stage and holding office and posts are your custodians for our federation. We are used to saying my team and my year, but this is not my team. This is FOGSI's team for the year 2024 to 25, and I just happen to be the president. I'm blessed with an incredible set of vice presidents: Ajay, Charmila, Girija, Janmaya, and Nirja. FOGSI looks to you for your individual and collective talents, steadying hands, and unstinted support. I'm sure that Dr. Madhuri Patel, our dynamic Secretary General, the first woman in FOGSI to hold this position, Suvarna, who has revealed a tech geek side of her since she became the Deputy Secretary, Parikshit, the meticulous and thinking Treasurer, Niranjan, the efficient and effective Joint Treasurer, and the quiet and hard-working Joint Secretary Kunal will all step up to the plate and ensure a smooth and fruitful year. In all this, I will look for guidance and advice from my dear friends Rishikesh and Sunita. The ICOG, led by Parul Bhai, Parag, Dr. Sheila Mane, Dr. Ashok Kumar, and my very good friend Sarita, will surely excel as it always does and take the splendid work led by Dr. Lakshmi Srikhande forward. Parul Bhai has some interesting ideas, and we hope we can implement them. Our ever-enthusiastic and prompt team from the journal will lead the journal to greater heights. Dr. Madhuri Patel, as the editor-in-chief, will lead the team along with Dr. Dalvi, Arun, Anaita, Ashwini, Pradnya, both Chengade and Supe, Gaurav and Sunil. Geeta, congratulations on a great tenure and some wonderful work done by you. My core team, whom you just heard introducing me, Neharika, Rohan, Priyankur, Apurva, Ritu, Kunal, and Munjal, I hope that you all are ready to travel a lot and sleep a lot less. In large part, the structure Rishikesh has put in place with the zonal coordinators will continue. The train of thought of what the tenure looks like begins from choosing a theme. I went back and looked at all the themes that FOGSI has ever had. In another act of serendipity, the tradition of having annual themes was started by my father, Dr. D.K. Tank, when he was the president of FOGSI in 1997. FOGSI has thus had 26 themes to date. So what I did was I divided the themes into broad and topic-specific themes. When I did that, I found that 17 out of 26 themes were broad, and since this seems to be FOGSI's zeitgeist, I decided to follow this. I'm very happy to unravel the logo and the theme for the year. I'm delighted to share that the logo, communication, and artwork have all been done by me personally. No artist or creative person has been involved in making it. I've always felt that any logo has to tell a story, and I'm happy to share the thoughts and stories behind this logo. To begin with, FOGSI is at the center because it is at the center of whatever we do as office bearers and members of FOGSI. Diverse colors come together in this circle to create harmony and balance. The colors in the circle represent diversity. They represent diversity in the people we serve, in the providers and members of FOGSI, and in the services we provide, which hopefully all blends together in a harmonious and balanced whole. I have deliberately left the circle incomplete, and this incompleteness represents the distance that we have to travel to provide the best possible services to everyone who needs them, and it should be our aspiration not only in this year but going forward to complete this circle. FOGSI 360 indicates a 360-degree approach to women's health and to the institution of FOGSI, and coordinate by communicating and developing a sense of community will enable FOGSI to present our point of view and set narratives from our perspective. I've selected the color orange for that line there because orange combines the energy of red and the happiness of yellow. It represents fire and purity, and as the Russian artist Vasily Kandinsky said, orange is red brought nearer to humanity by yellow. Finally, I have the line Jivanasya Ruttam, and I deliberately selected Sanskrit over here. Remember, India has got a very long history with language, and language is a very emotive issue in our country. Even when we gained independence, our states was not formed on the basis of ethnicity or geography. They were formed on the basis of language. That's why Gujarat has Gujarati, Maharashtra has Marathi, Tamil Nadu has Tamil. And that's why I decided to select Sanskrit, which is considered to be the mother language. And what I have done is use the words Jivanasya Ruttam, which means circle of life, because we want to look at a woman through her entire life cycle and not just in silos. It's really difficult to give a full and complete rundown of FOGSI's activities through the year, so I'll attempt to give a brief account of the year. For those who are not familiar with legalese, I've used the word inter alia, which means among others, and I must clarify that this does not refer to an Alia Bhatt movie. There are 32 conferences in this year, bookended by the 2 AICOGs, and I would like to thank all the societies, organizers, and committee chairs. The conferences will be set apart by identifying skills that can be imparted in a CME fashion and make skill building an integral part of the conferences and CMEs. They will also include breakout sessions, roundtable, and we'll try and encourage greater South-South learnings and participation. We've also tried to maintain an equitable and proportional distribution of conferences in our 4 zones, and the plan is to have major CMEs in the states where we have not been able to reach with a conference. These are the various activities that we plan on doing. We will launch M Gurukul. This is the world's first bottom-up mentor matching system, which will work a bit like an Uber for matching topic as well as mentor within around maybe 200 to 300 topics and around 100 mentors. And mentees will be able to choose the topics and their mentors and schedule a Zoom session with them for 20 minutes to ensure that mentees all over India and indeed the globe have access to the best possible mentors. We continue to work in urban slums. We decided that we would focus on urban slums because there is already a lot of focus on rural areas, which, although well-deserved and much needed, makes us lose sight of a grossly underserved population right below our noses for those in cities. The format will be that there'll be a pre-hype for 2 days in a given slum with incentives, followed by an awareness and medical camp, and one CME for physicians, including GPs and gynaes, and a parallel one for paramedics. This will be also followed up by a second camp in the same area to assess the impact of the intervention. This work will focus on anemia, but we will use the platform to piggyback knowledge on menstrual hygiene and general nutrition. We are planning 30,000 camps of various sizes in healthcare facilities and in the community, over 500 in-person CMEs, and over 250 online CMEs. In a departure from the norm, each series of CME will be preceded by a meeting like a training of trainers to develop a resource pool of speakers who will communicate uniform messages. The Gurukul Medha program led by Ashwath will continue, as will so many of the other projects of FOGSI. We are planning to have conclaves and consensus meetings and some separate initiatives like the RH Masterclass, the Rishta Breastfeeding Program, Labor CMEs, and what Rishikesh has initiated, adult vaccination centers, etc. We plan to do 12 newsletters because all this activity deserves to be mentioned and disseminated to our members. So the newsletters, much in the spirit of what Dr. Rohana has initiated for AOFOG, will disseminate this information. In a unique initiative, we are planning to write letters to authorities giving FOGSI's point of view. And when I say authorities, I'm looking at a broad range of authorities from national, state, and district level. I would like to congratulate the committee chairs who have just finished their tenure. Congratulations for a fantastic work done, and hope that we will continue seeing you work for FOGSI. When I met my committee chairs, sorry, that's a habit, FOGSI committee chairs, we had 2 meetings, and I was delighted because I proposed a new format of working to them. What I told them was that let's make a 1-page narrative of your committee. All my committee chairs, again, all FOGSI's committee chairs are sitting there. Can I ask you to rise and be acknowledged? I'm so proud of the work that they have done earlier and the work that they continue to do. So what they've done is they have established a 1-page narrative on the history of their committee, and they have created a Gantt chart which outlines all the activities they will do for a year. One of the problems we face as office bearers is not getting reports in time. What we've done is we've uploaded these Gantt charts into a single Google Sheet, and these Gantt charts will continue to be updated as these activities keep on happening. The vice presidents who are in charge of the committees and the office bearers who need the reports will have access to these Google Sheets, and that's why the need to keep on repeatedly asking for reports hopefully will go down. All this will result in one individual web page for each committee. Right now, if you go to the FOGSI website and you look at the committee page, you just have the photo and the name of the committee. Hopefully what we'll be able to do, Suvarna, is that when you click on that committee, it will take you to a separate microsite where all the activities of the committee will be highlighted. Humans are FOGSI's greatest assets, and the cells which were started in 2012 represent this. The cells have been pretty static for a very long time now, since 2012 to be precise, and I intend to completely turn the way these cells function. We are going to change the topics of the cell. We are going to have one regulatory cell which will look at all the regulations which doctors have to face. We are going to develop a membership cell which will look at social security and moving to a term insurance model from the pyramid model that we have now. We are going to have an election cell which will look at nominations and the issue of joint treasurer. We are going to have a language and imagery guide cell, which I'm going to talk about a little later. And finally, we are going to have a publication cell. I certainly do hope that these cells function only for a short period of time, because the output of the cell has to be a document. Remember that cells are supposed to be a think tank which makes recommendations to the managing committee and committees to follow. They are not supposed to do activities, and that really should be the end point. So, we are going to have conferences, we are going to have CMEs. These are the managing committee meeting dates which have already been declared in April and September. We are going to change the way the FOGSI cells think. We are also introducing KPI dashboards. We do a lot of work, and sometimes to access all the work, the only thing we can do is go back to our annual reports, which becomes very cumbersome. So I hope to institute dashboards which will look at every topic of work, subtopic of work, and you'll be able to search for that work in geography and by the person who's leading that work. It will instantly give an idea of the enormous amount of work which FOGSI does. We are also planning to do a demographic study of FOGSI members. This will stratify our membership in gender, geography, age, and so on and so forth, public, private sector, and so on. It will give a very good idea of what our strengths are. We are also planning to have a consultant look at FOGSI from the outside. Sometimes we are so invested in the work that we do, we fail to realize that we are having so many missed opportunities, and hopefully this will have some impact on the way we work. I'm also planning to come out with a language guide or a glossary. I love language, I love words, and I think it is high time that we did this. Just to give you an example, I don't think we should be calling vaginal birth as normal deliveries. Deliveries is something which Domino's does, and if you say that a vaginal birth is normal, then you're stigmatizing around 30 to 40% of women who are undergoing a C-section by indirectly implying that their birth is abnormal. It's already been talked about, and I'd like to very much thank Medha, Anchita, Vikas, and Dr. Rajni from the Gates Foundation, Ratish, Harsh, and team from Satwa. We took around 4 months and at least 10 to 15 meetings to write this proposal and budget, but the effort has been worth it because it's resulted in the largest ever grant, direct or indirect, to FOGSI, and this is a grant for a shade over $2 million US, which is around 16.5 crore rupees. I'm also happy to share that the first tranche of around 6.5 crores has already been disbursed and is in the FOGSI account waiting to be utilized. We are in talks also with other organizations like the Packard Foundations along with IDF to tease apart the evidence for provider behavior and bias, if any, and address the origins of stigma and plan effective interventions. We expect that our second MOU with USAID will be signed in the first quarter of this year for work in menstrual health, perinatal mental health, and the big project of UDAN for adolescent health. We are also speaking to RTSL to do some work on NCDs, particularly in hypertension. Very briefly, the FOGSI BMGF project will work in the 3 areas shown here. And if you would like to know more about this project, I would request you to please attend either the general body, which is to be held tomorrow evening after the new managing committee, or on the 9th at 9 a.m., there will be representatives from the Gates Foundation who will address us and enlighten us on this project along with our office bearers and IDF. And this session is to be held at 9 a.m. on the 9th in the hall Gusadi. My time at the AOFOG has been thoroughly enjoyable and a delightful learning experience, and I thank the officers of the AOFOG and all the committee chairs. I'm delighted that the current President Pisek, Secretary General Dr. Rohana, Treasurer Jungshin, and SRH Committee Chair Onup and MFM Committee Chair Dr. Ratnasiri have been able to make time and be here, and I look forward to seeing everyone in Manila a few days from now. I must also thank all the past presidents, Ravi and Prof. Ochai, for their constant support and guidance. AOFOG is grounded in fellowship and science, and I sincerely hope that FOGSI and AOFOG have ever more synergies, and we welcome AOFOG activities and its members to India as often as they possibly can make it. I've gained much knowledge about organizations and their functioning in the short time when I was the vice chair for the abortion project in FIGO and then the committee chair for safe abortion at FIGO. And I would like to thank the person who led the abortion project in FIGO for so many years, Professor Annabel Foundis. The then President Carlos, the Secretary Leslie, the immediate past president when the project was going on, CN Sir, but CN Sir was the president when we wrote the proposal for the ASAP project. The other officers, CEO Johan when we wrote the proposal, and then interim CEO Hamid Rushwan and the FIGO staff for all their help. I welcome all the FIGO officers and committee members and hope that under Anne and Frank, our relationship will continue to grow and flourish, and look forward to welcoming all from FIGO to India through the year. The SAFOG is an important sub-regional organization, and I would like to congratulate and thank Dr. Shyam Desai, the president, Dr. Rohana, the immediate past president, and other dignitaries from SAFOG, including Narendra Malhotra, Dr. Ratnasiri, Dr. Firdausi, Dr. Farhana, Dr. Roshanara, and Rishikesh for their contribution to women's health. And thank you, Dr. Rohana, for giving me the privilege of being able to put together the SAFOG website. FOGSI has had strong relations with the Royal College of ONG through our AICC, RCOG, and directly. I know that Rani could not be here today. If Abdul, you are here, please convey to Rani that we are missing her here. And it was my privilege to have been awarded the FRCOG honoris causa by Eddie. And I was very, very honored that Leslie read the citation for me, and equally that I was nominated by Prof. Arul and Leslie. Frank, Sambit, and Fionala, you are here representing EPCOG, and I hope that our relationship will grow even stronger. And I'm hoping that we will be able to sign an MOU with the Royal Australian New Zealand College of ONG in this year, and I'd like to thank Vijay Roach, Ben, Nisha, and Waze and Sudi for their efforts in making it happen. FOGSI has great sister organizations, and it's quite wonderful that the presidents of ISAR, IAG, and FOGSI are such good friends. And that's a photo that we took just last night with Atul, Amit, and Noza. I'm moving on now to the journey part of the presentation. And as we express our gratitude to FOGSI, as we express gratitude to each and every one of you, as we express gratitude to all the seniors who are in the managing committee and everybody who will be a part of the next year activities, we will certainly try to live our words of gratitude by our actions. My journey in FOGSI actually began when I was very young. I'm proud to say that I'm not a self-made man, which is another way of saying that don't blame only me for my mistakes. I've been shaped by my family, my mentors, senior colleagues, and juniors. I attended my first MOGS and by extension FOGSI meeting when Dad was installed as the president of the Mumbai Society in 1986. I was then elected to the managing committee in 1998. Professor Foundis had once written to me in an email that every person has his or her individual characteristics. But not being the same doesn't mean to be better or worse. It just means different. FOGSI has been served by a diverse set of leaders, and this has served the organization very well. I remember R.D. Pandit sir in the MCM and the sigh of relief from the dais when he finished making questions to the office bearers. And I'm delighted that I've had the good fortune to witness the presence of Rohit Bhatt sir, Daftari sir, Sirish uncle, Dr. Usha Krishna, Dr. Kamal Bakshi, Sunawala sir, Dr. Alokendu, Dr. Kamini Rao, Dr. Usha Saraya, and Dr. Sadhna Desai as past presidents in the managing committee. I got my first post in the managing committee of FOGSI when Dr. Behram Anklesarya was the president in 2004. So I have now served under 17 FOGSI presidents, and it has been wonderful to learn something from each of them. From the affability of Dr. Behram Anklesarya, the dynamism of Dr. Shyam Desai, who helped me publish the very first paper I ever wrote in the Indian Journal, and that paper was proofed by Dr. Sirish Daftari, the grace, sheer polish, and planning of Dr. Durusha, the articulation and oratory of Dr. Pankaj Desai, the kindness of the youngest Yuva of FOGSI, the king of selfies and publications, Dr. Narendra Malhotra. In fact, my first invitation as a faculty from outside Mumbai was from him and Jaydeep. The amazing sense of what makes an organization work of CN sir. You know, sir, I missed you because you were not there when I was installed as the president of the Mumbai Society, and I'm delighted that you are here when I'm being installed as the president of FOGSI. Although much has been said about sir's ability, I think what has not really been appreciated enough is his ability to pick talent and mentor that talent so effectively. The serenity, wisdom, acumen, and the gravitas that Sanjay Gupte sir brings to any discussions he's a part of, the extraordinary capacities of PC Mahapatra sir as an entrepreneur, leader, guide, now politician, and the sheer warmth and love and affection that he exudes, particularly for me. The meticulousness of Dr. P.K. Shah. I'm sure sir is tired of hearing this, but sir was my examiner in 3rd MBBS. And I always say that I hope he does not regret passing me in the exams. The funny thing is, I've never heard sir say, even after hearing this so many times, that he doesn't regret it. Dr. Hema Divakar, the dynamo of FOGSI, ever enthusiastic, ebullient, helpful, and a thoughtful leader. The wonderfully enthusiastic and innovative Suchitra Pandit, one of the most hardworking and dedicated persons I have ever met, Dr. Prakash Trivedi, the wonderfully calm and brilliant surgeon, always encouraging and supportive, Dr. Alka Kriplani, and of course, one of the most organized and pragmatic persons I have met, Dr. Rishma Pai, who was such a great president. And Rishikesh, please convey to Rishma that we are missing here today. I was very fortunate to have great presidents when I was Secretary General. I was lucky that I started my tenure as Secretary General with my namesake, my elder sister Jaydeep. Her rapport with everyone in FOGSI was and is extraordinary, as is her grasp of issues. My next trip around the sun as Secretary General was with the President with the Golden Touch, Nandita. Nandita was and is a very generous person, unafraid to raise questions, a great friend, extremely resourceful, dependable, and consistent. I was very fortunate that I was her secretary both in the MOGS and FOGSI, and I had not only a productive but also a fun time working with her. Nandita, I don't know whether you can see that photo over there, but that's me without a mustache dancing with you in one of our parties. Alpesh Bhai, of course, will go down in the history of FOGSI as the person who led us through the pandemic. His drive and passion to work made a mark and managed to turn a threat into an opportunity. FOGSI increased its reach and found new ways to cope in the pandemic in ways which will augur well for the future. The last two and the next president are brilliant persons. We knew that Shanta is a great organizer, and I'm sure all of you will agree that she has this very unique ability to make people see things the way she wants them to be seen. When I took that photo, Shanta, can you see that photo with you in the mic? Standing in a very typical Shanta pose with the mic, I knew it had to be a part of my inaugural speech. Thank you again, Shanta, for all your dedicated hard work for this wonderful launchpad for the year 24-25. The very special Rishikesh Pai, the greatest people person I know. Someone who can make you believe you're so good at something and then get work done from you in a way which makes you grateful that he asked you to do the work. Rishikesh has been a great inclusive leader and has also walked the talk when he told me that I should not hesitate to start work on this year well before the year starts. Rishikesh completes the frenetic term you just heard about it, and I think he has some hopes that he'll have a quiet life now. But I'm sorry, Rishikesh, a quiet life is not in your nature, and it is not in FOGSI's interest also. So although you can take a short break, you'll find yourself in Zooms, airports, and planes soon enough. Sunita is, of course, a great planner and executes everything with great panache. We've heard and seen continuity in action this year, and I can assure you, Sunita, that whatever support you need this year will be there for you to enable you to start planning and even executing your plans from this year itself. You will have a 2-year presidency. The post of Secretary General in FOGSI is a special post. And notwithstanding the fact that I have held this post, very, very special people have held this post. CN Sir was the Secretary General when I entered the Managing Committee of FOGSI, and his influence over the institution of FOGSI and all of us is undeniable. Dr. P.K. Shah Sir was a fantastic Secretary General who had the ability to hold in thrall and command attentions from the sometimes unruly Managing Committee. Nausar, of course, was one of the most brilliant Secretary Generals, and I hope he regards this year as his presidency year. Rishikesh brought his charismatic leadership style to the post, and it is fair to say that Secretary Generals add to the organizations in their own way, as has the current Secretary General, Dr. Madhuri Patel, and our entire administrative team with Suvarna, Parikshit, and Niranjan. We have worked together for many years. Although we have argued sometimes, our relationship and friendship has weathered all of this and come out better for it. You know, I've always felt that a relationship that cannot withstand a little argument is perhaps not a healthy relationship. But I must say this does not mean that everyone should start arguing with me now. I have my hope pinned on all of you for a smooth and efficient functioning for the next year. The FOGSI staff is there forever. We come and we go, but the FOGSI staff is there constant and present. I remember Mrs. Bhandarkar today with her extensive command and knowledge over FOGSI, and I would really like to thank all the staff for their sincere efforts. They really shone in the pandemic and ensured that the office continued to function through the pandemic. Our office superintendent Sangeeta, the assistant OS Kanchan, Hema and Dipti from accounts, Nilima from ICOG, Maria and Aarti from the journal, Shubda, Poonam Singh and Mendare, Sonam Singh, Nikita Parab, and of course the men of FOGSI, Prakash Gurau, Prakash Bomle, Satyavan Gurau, Suryakant, and Prakash Karkhanis. I think we owe you all a big, big round of applause. I trust that, like in all the years gone by, the FOGSI office bearers, managing committee, committees, and above all the members get together in a well-coordinated minuet, which will allow us to combine the beauty of the past with all the best hope for the future. My professional life is underpinned by all the teachings I have received over the years from all my teachers. I'm very thankful to all of you. I'm delighted that so many of you called me up to congratulate me. I cast my mind back to Dr. Virkut's clinics and notes, the surgical skills of Dr. Sharat Shah and Dr. Saraugi, the surgical dissection and clinics of my MD teacher, Dr. Praveen Mhatre, the teachings of Dr. Matalia, Dr. Manohar Motwani, my lecturer in Cooper, Dr. M.S. Bhattacharya and Dr. Vanita Raut, Dr. Kaizad Damanya, who assisted my first cesarean section, and Dr. Meru Hansotia, under whose guidance I learned TVS in the Wadia Infertility Clinic, and Dr. Nitin Narvekar, Dr. Naina Dastur, and Dr. Murari Nanavati, under whom I was a lecturer for several years. But I must admit that my education started even before I got a residency in obstetrics and gynecology. It started with the Journal Club, a collection of the most fascinating personalities, including Dr. C.G. Saraya, Dr. N.D. Motasha, Dr. Sula Mehta, Dr. M.D. and Sharda Adatya, Dr. Anil Parulekar, Dr. Govind and Sarla Ganatra, Dr. Sirish Sheth, Dr. Sadhna Desai, Dr. Meru Hansotia, and Dad. Their discussions which I attended instilled aspirations in me for a lifetime. I'm so delighted that Sirish Uncle, Silu Auntie, and Sadhna Auntie called me up to bless me, and I particularly miss Meru Auntie today, as the first time I got an opportunity to be a part of the organizing team of a conference was during her tenure. You cannot choose family, you are born into it. I've been singularly lucky and fortunate to have the family I do. I've always aspired to be like my father. The son of a humble potato farmer born into poverty in a remote village in Gujarat, he rose from studying under streetlights in his school days to building a flourishing private practice and also becoming the president of literally every association he was in, be it professional associations like the MOGS, FOGSI, SAFOG, AOFOG, or even the housing societies we lived and worked in. But through it all, what shone was the empathy and understanding he carried for everyone he interacted with. He did yeoman's work for FOGSI, a few amongst which was that he was the first to start themes within FOGSI. He instituted the CG Saraya CME. For the first time, he raised funds voluntarily from members for various works in FOGSI. He initiated and established relationships with the government, which resulted in FOGSI's longest running project, the EMOC project, which was later then taken forward by Dr. Sadhana Desai. My mother was by any standards a remarkable woman. My mother was a midwife and met my father in the labor rooms of JJ Hospital. I have to presume that their dialogue went much beyond, "Please pass me the mop, sister." My mother managed our hospital, home, and family for over 50 years. You know, they say God could not be everywhere, and so he made mothers. I don't know about God, but I knew my mother was always everywhere because I never got away with any of the multiple shenanigans in my very mischievous childhood. She always seemed to know. I miss them both, and I hope that wherever they are looking down from upon our family, they feel happy, satisfied, and are continuing to bless us. My sister Nivedita, aka Didi, pretty much everywhere we go for IVF work, she calls herself Universal Didi, is one of the nicest person I know. She is the archetypal softie with the gruff exterior, much like the characters George Clooney portrays in movies. Didi, I'm calling you a female George Clooney. If it were not for her, we would not really find it so easy to do the amount of IVF work that we do. Parikshit, I think that's Parikshit's first ever photograph in the corner over there. That's Papa holding Parikshit. I've always thought that my younger brother Parikshit is a spoiled brat. As we have both grown older, I've realized that he is a spoiled brat, but he's also the most dependable, kind, intelligent, thorough, and hardworking person I know. Quite simply, I can only do what I do because he shoulders the burden of our work, and I can be absolutely certain that he does it with impeccable integrity, dedication, and unparalleled sincerity. Although I don't say it often, or they would actually say never, Didi and Parikshit, I love you both to bits. In our family, we've been very fortunate to have married well. Kurush is one of the most brilliant gynecologists I know and an all-round great person. Parul is simply wonderful and charming, and she's one of the best regarded psychiatrists of the country. Thank you, Pesi Uncle, Naju Auntie, Porus, Kashmira, Rajan Uncle, and Sushma Auntie for them. Our next gen is all set to take on the world, and Anosh, who's here, Maithili and Nikhil, we look forward to great things from you. You know, I really hit the jackpot when I met my wife to be Sonali, then Chauhan, in her medical college. She has been the rock on which I have built my life. She is my best friend, my sounding board, my anchor, and the love of my life. Since words often fail me when it comes to her, I'm going to paraphrase Lord Byron and say, she walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes. It has been the joy of my life to see my two children, Dev and Jash, grow. Dev is now a lawyer and pursuing his master's in intellectual property law at Durham University in the UK, and Jash is pursuing the study of medicine in his third year. I have now realized the true meaning of the phrase that making the decision to have a child is to decide forever to have your heart walking around outside your body. They have become fine human beings, and as they embark on their life beyond the confines of home, I can only hope that we have given them wings to fly and roots to come back to. I've also had very good kismet that I have such wonderful in-laws. I owe this to Ba, and thank you Tiku, Anaita, and Renu for being who you are, and the kids, now of course adults, Ritvik, Arnav, Sana, and Shamoil, thank you for taking the time to be here. I'm very thankful to our team Ashwini. Everything stems from there. IJ Uncle, Dr. Suvarna Randive, Dr. Piyush Modi, Mayuri, Rekha, Asma, all our doctors, staff, and above all, Dr. Amla Chatti. Chatti Auntie, as she is known to us and literally thousands of patients, is an institution by herself and stands alone in her relationship with patients. She keeps Ashwini together. I'd like to thank Paresh and Egbert for all the help over the years, and I'm very happy to see that Egbert is here. Our colleagues, who we are associated with for IVF, have gone beyond being colleagues and have become a part of your lives. I'm very thankful to all of them for everything, and I'm happy that so many of you took the time to be here. Abu Ben Adamites, we've been friends for close to 3.5 decades, more than half my lifetime. And in all these years, I have to find one picture of us that was at least not partially blurred. I wonder why. Thank you for all your effortless partnership and love you all. My closest friends in gynecology, Atul, Nozer, and me have attended several conferences together and eaten innumerable theplas from Atul's bag. They are both considerably senior to me and yet have never made me feel as if I was junior to them. I owe my inculcation to the work on safe abortion to Nozer and his term as the MTP committee chair, and I'm very happy that he and Ruby are here today. Atul, of course, is my go-to person for a whole lot of issues, including expensive endoscopy equipment, which I probably don't need. And thank you, Madhvi and Ruby, for sparing them to MOGS, FOGSI, and us. Professor Paul Devroy was introduced to us by Mehru Auntie, and I had the good fortune to learn the nuances of IVF in Brussels in his department. Christophe Bloquil from the same university and Sabeth are close friends, and we've had the pleasure of organizing 2 unique BIC meetings with Christophe. Dame Leslie Regan unfortunately could not make it to this conference, but she's always been a great support and inspiration, and I look forward to all her guidance. I have many friends in the public health sector, but I must admit I have a special place for my friends from IPAS. It was the first organization I worked closely with, and the relationship has not only survived, but grown and thrived for close to 23 years. I'm very happy that Vinod, Sangeeta, and Medha, originally from IDF, are here, and please convey my best regards to Chandra and Gladson. I would also like to acknowledge all the friends and seniors across organizations, Pompey from MSD for Mothers, Somesh, Parag, Shweta, Dr. Dinesh, Anupama, and many more from Japaigo, Moni, Sachin, and Amit from USAID, Anand from Packard Foundation, Kalpana from FPI, Anjali, Suchi, and Rahul from GHS, and so many more from so many organizations. I and FOGSI are indebted for the partnerships, and we hope to work together even more closely. I've been extraordinarily lucky with friends, and I owe them all big time. When I was making a list of my friends to thank for this speech, I realized that I needed to thank and acknowledge at least 250 persons who I consider to be my friend. It's not possible for me to name all of them, but I can only say that I'm very grateful you took time off to be here and wish us the best, and I'm truly appreciative of all that you have meant to me in all these years. I must also mention the FOGSI Friend Facebook group. If you're a FOGSI member and not yet a part of, please join, and if you face any problem, please reach out to the admins, Narendra, Alpesh Bhai, Rishikesh, Sudhir Bhai, Deepak Bhai, Yashodhara Pallam Reddy Madam, and the others. I would like to end this part of the presentation by expressing my gratitude and thanks to the 3 persons who have taken me under their wings and given me sage and wise advice over the last so many years. Dr. Rohana has been a pillar of support and sagacity. He is extremely astute, and his insight into situations has been enlightening and a guiding light for me. A part of our family since a long time, he and Chandrika Auntie are also the most wonderful, kind, and generous hosts. Professor Annabel Foundis has shared so much of his wisdom with me, and I'm constantly in awe of his commitment, his drive, and his desire to make the world a better and safer place for women. Professor Arul Kumaran has so many things to learn from, and I suspect everyone who meets him ends up learning something every time one meets him. He is gracious in conversation, correspondence, compliments, and accomplishments. I'm sure that all of us who are fortunate enough to know Prof. Arul come away after meeting him feeling better about ourselves, and I'm always eager to meet him and learn more from him. As I head into the last part of my presentation, I cannot help but ask all of you to consider joining these 2 very important congresses, the AOFOG 2024 to be held in Busan, Korea, and of course, the AICOG 2025, which will be held in our very own Mumbai. I have a firm and long-standing belief that the narratives which stigmatize legitimate medical procedures do a great disservice not only to us as healthcare providers, but also to women and the community at large. As I had tweeted several years back, rhetoric has replaced, sometimes even dangerously, what is best for the woman, her baby, and the family, and a rational, evidence-based approach to this issue is vital, rather than the lazy narrative of the commercialization of medicine in general and birthing in particular. I don't know how many of you know, but Sir Isaac Newton actually had a fourth law which has been recently discovered, which says, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction plus a social media overreaction. It is true that these kind of overreactions are driven by misplaced narratives, and I believe that there is an urgent need to identify narratives, research on how they were formed, validate or invalidate the narrative, and then suggest interventions. In the end, what drives us forward, in my view, is the altruistic gene inherent in all those who choose medicine as a profession. It's this altruistic gene which gives us a burning desire to do good. In conclusion, as president of FOGSI, I have this to say. You know, I've always felt we don't appreciate ourselves enough. In all modesty, but with equal pride, let us learn to embrace ourselves, our vibrant and amazing FOGSI. And let me tell you why I'm proud of FOGSI. For me, FOGSI is a federation which represents women's health. We are fervent advocates for women's health, and above all, we save umpteen lives and bring happiness to so many women, men, and create family units, which are the driving force of today's society. For me, FOGSI means resilience, advocacy, as the premier source of professional education and community awareness and fellowship, friendships forged in the crucible of organizing conferences and meetings. For me, FOGSI represents what is best in our unique privilege as healthcare providers for women. For me, FOGSI represents a road to the ideals that we strive for. Ideals which would result in a world where no woman needs to die from unsafe abortion, a world where no woman has an unmet reproductive need, and above all, a world where no woman needs to die in childbirth, a function she did not choose to have, but was thrust upon her by biology and the fact that she was born a woman. After all, history is her story too. Thank you very much.
Again, as this is just the beginning, and we get a standing ovation for our President FOGSI, Dr. Jaydeep Tank.